Welcome in. Ever wonder what really happens in family court?
Oh, yeah.
We're going behind the scenes today. Deep dive into a case. T.N.F versus M.V.J.A. from 2018, Ontario, Canada.
Okay.
And we've got the court documents. It's juicy stuff. But it's not just about the drama.
Right.
It's about understanding what happens when a marriage falls apart and finances get complicated.
Exactly. Each case, it has its own twists and turns, but
Okay.
this one really highlights those classic issues. You're talking arguments over money, how property gets split, spousal support, and how much each person's career plays into it all.
Right, because it's a partnership, right. So let's meet our players.
Okay.
We've got T.N.F. She's the applicant, meaning she kicked things off, legally speaking, works in IT, high earner. And get this, her income, it actually went UP during the relationship. Now, on the other side, M.V.J.A., the respondent, his financial story. That's where things get a little, shall we say, complicated, which of course caught the court's eye.
Yeah, the court's always interested in the financial side of things, especially when it's not straightforward.
And that's the thing. This wasn't just a sign the papers kind of divorce. We're talking years of shared finances, big decisions, career moves. Everything's intertwined.
Right. It becomes a tangled web.
And you'd think, okay, starting point, when did it actually end? Date of separation, right? Seems simple.
You'd think,
But they couldn't even agree on that.
which is huge. In family law, that date, it's not just a date. It affects everything, how you divide what you've both built, even spousal support, which can have a ripple effect for years.
Oh, absolutely. And then we've got M.V.J.A.'s business venture. He bought a Works Burger franchise, and it failed. But was it just bad luck? Or were there, questionable financial decisions? That's what the court had to figure out.
See, and that's what's so interesting here. The court's not just looking at the outcome. They're looking at the decision-making. Was he acting in good faith, even if it tanked? Or were there signs, red flags, that suggested maybe not?
Because that matters. And to add another layer, they'd used a joint line of credit for this restaurant. T.N.F. argued there was a verbal agreement that he, M.V.J.A., would shoulder that debt.
Ah, the good old he said, she said. A tale as old as time and family court. But this is why, folks, writing things down is your friend, especially when money's involved.
Absolutely. And as if that wasn't enough, they couldn't even agree on whether he was really unemployed after the restaurant went under.
Oh, so we're getting into, is he actually looking for work territory?
Exactly. And the court, they're thorough. They don't just take your word for it. They look at your work history, how much you could be making, even your lifestyle. Are you really unable to work, or are you choosing not to?
They want the full financial picture, the panoramic view, not just a snapshot. And that's where the real investigation begins.
So we're peeling back the layers of this case. We're about to head into the courtroom, look at what went down.
Right, and that's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's the evidence, or sometimes the lack of it, that can really make or break a case.
Oh, totally. Remember M.V.J.A.'s whole thing about the restaurant being worthless?
Right.
Well, get this.
Yeah.
Court documents show he actually valued it at $400,000 on a loan application.
Oh, really?
Just a few months later, trying to buy another franchise, if you can believe it.
Wow. Talk about a contradiction.
Yeah. The judge definitely noticed that one. But it wasn't all just like numbers and spreadsheets, right? There were these little details, almost like anecdotes, that gave a glimpse into their relationship.
Oh, absolutely. One that sticks out is we'll call it the inflatable bed incident.
The inflatable bed incident. Okay, what happened?
So picture this. It's Christmas. The couple is at M.V.J.A.'s parents' house. Seems normal enough.
Yeah, holiday season.
Right. Except T.N.F. refuses to sleep in the same room as her husband. It gets to the point where his parents actually buy an inflatable bed for her and their daughter.
Oh, wow. Okay. I get that family holidays can be stressful, but an inflatable bed, that's saying something.
And the judge picked up on that. It's these little things, they help the court see the bigger picture, the real dynamic between two people.
Yeah. It's amazing how those details matter. It's like the judge is putting together a puzzle.
Exactly. And both sides are presenting their version of events, right? Trying to use evidence to back up their claims. Like, for instance, T.N.F. She tried to use bank statements from years earlier to show her financial situation throughout the marriage.
Okay, but there was a catch, right?
Big catch. Banks don't keep records forever, those old statements. Long gone. And it kind of backfired because it looked like she was hiding information.
You'd think in this day and age, everything's digital, you'd have that stuff.
Right, you would think. It goes to show you keeping good financial records, it's crucial, especially in situations like this.
Good point. Good point.
But maybe the biggest surprise came from, well, an unexpected source. M.V.J.A.'s own mother. Yeah, she contradicted his claims about being unemployed, saying that he was actually doing data entry for a computer company.
Well, that's awkward. Family dinner is going to be fun. But seriously, it makes you wonder what else comes out in these cases.
That's family law for you. Gets very up close and personal. Court has to sort through these different stories, often from people who were once, incredibly close.
So you've got all this evidence, all these different sides. What did the judge make of it all?
Well, put yourself in the judge's robe for a sec. Two sides, totally different stories, financial records that are, well, let's just say, interesting.
Right.
And it's your call that shapes these people's lives.
It's a lot of pressure. So how did the judge even begin to sort through it all?
By the book, taking the law and applying it to this case with all its quirks. Remember the data separation debate? Judge went with T.N.F on that one.
Really?
Used their therapy records, even how they were acting, to pinpoint when the marriage was over, legally speaking, not just when someone moved out or whatever.
Fascinating. What about the restaurant? Did the judge believe it was a total bust, financially speaking, like M.V.J.A. claimed?
Not a chance.
Yeah.
That loan application, remember, where he valued it at $400,000, that kind of undermined his whole argument. Judge called that out big time, stressed how important honesty is in these cases. You got to lay your cards on the table financially, or it's going to hurt you.
Makes sense. If it seems like you're hiding assets, trying to downplay what you've got, not going to fly.
Exactly. And then there's the whole unemployed claim from M.V.J.A.
Oh, yeah, until his mom spilled the beans about the data entry job.
Right. Hard to ignore that. The court decided he was capable of earning more than he was letting on. They ended up imputing an income to him.
Hold on, imputed income. That's got to be lawyer speak for something. Could you clarify for our listeners?
You got it. Basically, if the court thinks you're dodging work, hiding income, they can step in. They'll look at your past earnings, your skills, the job market, and say, this is what we think you should be making. Yeah. That way, support payments are calculated fairly. It's about potential, not just what someone's pulling in at that moment.
Levels the playing field a bit.
Exactly. Now, the judge did acknowledge M.V.J.A. was in a tough spot financially. He got spousal support, but...
And not a free ride forever.
Nope. There was an end date. The judge emphasized becoming self-sufficient. Think of it as a bridge, not a permanent crutch.
Support to get back on your feet, not to avoid it altogether.
Exactly. So, big picture. This case screams, be clear, be honest, especially about money, even when you're in love. Those casual agreements, tough to prove later. Write it down.
You heard it here, folks. Even when things are emotional, those tough conversations about finances, they matter. Saves a lot of headaches and legal fees down the line.
Totally agree. And, this whole thing really makes you think. What agreements do you have in your relationships? Spelled out, written down, something to ponder.
Lots to think about. And there you have it, a real-life peek behind the curtain of family court. We saw the arguments, the proof, the tough calls a judge has to make. Sometimes truth is stranger than fiction, right? Until next time, keep it honest out there, get those agreements in writing, and we'll be back soon with another deep dive that'll make you stop and think.